Ooh, it's been a while since I've done a video, huh? Ooh, ooh, yeah, a little rusty. Well, it's been a while, hasn't it? To my old heads, it's great to see you all again. To anyone who's new, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We're moving our way toward 500 subscribers, and with your help, I can definitely get there. So, I wanted to have a video here prepared because it took me a little while. I was a little late to the party, but I did see Shang-Chi and I didn't love it, but I did come away with 3 reasons for why I think I didn't love it. And let's see if my reasons match up with some of yours. Now, I have to admit, going into this movie, I didn't want to just like it. I actually wanted to love it, really. But I was worried about something. You see, there were a lot of talking heads saying that they were tired of the Marvel formula, right? Oh, everything is so formulaic. But you know what? Here's the real Marvel formula when it works well. They sell you on a good character and a good story. That's the formula. And so when people were like, I'm tired of the Marvel formula, I thought, well, yeah, but if they stray from that simple formula, which by the way is a formula that has been sold to the human species for thousands of years, if you move away from that, what you end up getting are things that become too sophisticated, too postmodern, too self-aware. And I think that's sort of what happens here with Shang-Chi. Now, the problem with heading toward this more sophisticated route with more complex themes and things like that is you tend to lose your core audience who were the ones who were screaming back in 2008, hey, everybody, you need to go see this movie Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. It's fantastic. That core group is the one that built especially that first phase of the MCU and got so many other people on board because they just loved it so much. All right, so let's dive into the 3 aspects of this film that kept me from loving it. The first one is impossible character and story development. Now, what do I mean by this? I found myself, while I was watching this film, saying, where is this going? Quite a bit. Now, like the Disney Loki series, it almost felt like there were multiple strands of universes being created in this film, like every 15 minutes in the movie. And there was nothing to really hold them together. They wanted Shang-Chi to be that kind of linchpin that could hold everything together, but in doing so, you reduced the value of even the titular character as well. We'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, so let's identify some of the major storylines that are happening in this film at the same time. First, Shang-Chi has to leave, right? Because he doesn't really want to be an assassin with the 10 rings. Secondly, his sister, Jialing, feels abandoned by her brother and her father, essentially. So she has to work on becoming like the greatest assassin of all time herself, because that's her only way to kind of feel connected, I think, to her family. Third, Wenwu is looking for his wife after realizing that he was not there for her at the time that she needed him most. It's a pretty hardcore storyline. Finally, Katie needs purpose in life. Yeah. So you've got all 4 of these storylines mixed together and trying to run in the same film, and it just doesn't work. In actuality, probably what should have happened is someone should have storyboarded all of this somewhere and looked at it and said, you know what, we've got like 3 movies going on here at the same time. Let's cut this down to maybe just Shang-Chi and his father, Wenwu, and then we can bring in Jialing toward the end of this film. And again, we'll get more to that in one of the other parts. Now, there's no really good way to move all of these storylines together at the same time and still have your audience stick with you. Not that we can't comprehend what's going on. We certainly can do that. The problem is investment. You can't invest yourself and become enveloped in any of these storylines because none of them are really developed enough for the audience to feel that connection that is so important in these MCU origin stories especially. The second reason why I think this movie didn't work as well as it could have was there wasn't enough emotional movement I really like the basic storyline here. I like Shang-Chi not wanting to be an assassin and having that estrangement, to his father, right? And I like Wenwu's obsession to find his wife. I love me a good obsession story. But that's where it should have stopped, right there. We have so much richness of human experience in just those two aspects of the story that they could have spent the entirety of the film just building that chasm between the two and widening it even more so that you have a better payoff at the end. Now, what I'm about to say is probably going to come across more harshly than I want it to, but you can tell me in the comments below if I'm wrong. I can't be the only one who didn't really care about Shang-Chi's fight with Wenwu at the very end. Is that terrible? Does that make me a horrible person? Yeah? Sorry. There wasn't enough pathos or struggle out of love for it to be a meaningful fight at the end and a meaningful movement in the father to that realization that the best way that he can love his deceased wife is by recognizing her in the children and recognizing what they both built in their children. There just wasn't enough emotional movement in that storyline for me to care as much as we probably should have. Additionally, there wasn't enough emotional struggle for Jai Ling. Honestly, she seemed like she was just fine for much of the movie. Like she was an outsider who really didn't care all that much about her family members. I know that the plot specifically says otherwise, right? Like they build in lines where she shows that she's upset about, being abandoned. But what I'm referring to is maybe the acting part of this. There's no actual feel of her emotional struggle in the movie. And I didn't get much of a sense that she really cared. Finally, and this is my biggest complaint, it's not Shang-Chi's movie. I want to go on record here. I'm all in on Simu Liu here. I thought he was phenomenal. He was fun, he had presence, and he was 100% the correct choice, I think, to kick off the next phase of the MCU. But they don't allow him to actually grab the movie. It never feels like it's his movie. This ties back into the other 2 points a little bit here. There are too many other storylines going on at the same time that get in the way of allowing Simu Liu to build up his character, watch it fall dramatically, and then have to build it up again. This should have just been about Shang-Chi and Wenwu. Jai Ling should have been brought in very sparsely throughout this film, and then have that end credit scene that we see where she's this kind of, it's almost a mysterious reason for why she would be taking over the 10 rings. Even because of the inability to juggle the storylines, even that scene at the end in the credits is kind of compromised here because I don't really care. It's not surprising. I remember watching the end credits and going, oh, okay, sure. There was nothing there for me to think like, oh, wow, this is a big deal. She's going to have to fight her brother and she's taking over for the father. And what does that mean? There's just not enough struggle here and not enough of a good job building up these characters for me to care. Now, that's just my take on the film. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. I'm pushing to make 500 subscribers, and I could really use your help.